Good evening. I'm Kendall Bird, VP of Brand here at Solle Naturals, and I'm your host of Why So Works. Thank you for joining us today. Looks like we have a good group already on. Thank you for coming early on time. I love it. I love to see you coming and sharing your time with us, and I hope we are giving you value. Why So Works is a show that we feel like gives some information about our products, and hopefully that helps you understand our products better and how you can use them. Last time on our show, I lied a little bit. I told you that we would be talking about longevity today, but we're not. Today, we're going to talk about one of our products that is so important for our health. It's a foundational product. We're talking about GoodFibrations. And the reason I'm not too sorry about it is because the reason we're talking about it is our new bag is coming out any day now. We've updated the look of the bag, and we're about to run out of the old bag, and they are telling me any day now these ones will start shipping. And so I am so excited about that, and we wanted to talk about that as that's going to happen. Now, we don't get enough fiber in our diets, and a long way from it. We could do a lot better. But how do you do that? How do you get more fiber in your diet? Well, let's talk about that right now on Why So Works. Well, here with me today to talk about fiber and GoodFibrations is Greg Halliday. He is our founder and president here at Solle Naturals, and he is going to share his knowledge and his time with us today. And we're going to talk about GoodFibrations.
I'm excited to be here, Kendall. And hello, everyone. I can see you on the chat board. Hello to each of you. It looks like everyone's in a pretty good mood there. And I see some great comments about the bag. Yeah. And by the way, just a small point in the bag. As with Solle Royal, as we move to the new bags in the new brand forward look, this is a post-consumer material bag, is it not, Mr. Bird?
That is correct. It says right here on the bottom with a little bit of a symbol, the recyclable symbol. This is material that has been recycled.
Yes. And that's not easy to do, as we know, because there are a lot of recycled or post-consumer bags, but they don't actually have a great seal, believe it or not. And with products like ours, we need a particular moisture seal.
Right.
And so it's been a long time coming, but these bags meet all the standards, don't they?
Yeah, and in fact, they've improved on it, the material since the Royal bag. So this is even a better bag. So I'm really excited about it. It feels great. There's a laminate on there that is the soft touch caress, they call it, soft touch, and it's very nice. It feels luxury.
So it's caress, and Kendall's hoping that you'll caress fiber. That is, bring fiber closer to you. In fact, we kind of would like to see it inside of you and inside ourselves. And actually tonight we're going to talk a little bit about that because as Kendall said, we don't get enough fiber. And in fact, that statement might be one of the biggest understatements you could ever make, the statement, we don't get enough fiber. And in fact, to do that, let's go and look at a couple of slides. Before we do anything, shout out to the one and only Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews. As always, what we're sharing with you tonight, and if I've learned anything, Kendall, I always get a little uncomfortable when you're like, Greg's going to share his knowledge. It all comes from other very knowledgeable people. I do try hard to listen, as do you and all our Solle elite and Solle specialists.
Well, I think that's how everybody gathers their knowledge, is they listen to other people. But you have gathered it, and you are very knowledgeable, and it's
well experienced.
Well,
there's a few years under my belt,
yeah.
And actually I've used it as well. We hope that that's maybe the third way to gain knowledge. Observation and ears and actions.
Yeah.
And Dr. Allison, she's done all three. And so
for sure, yeah.
Let's let's learn a little bit about what she's taught us. And we're going to also expand on some other things that have come from others that all went into GoodFibrations. Before we start into some of the ingredients, Kendall showed you the bag. Maybe you can get a little closer look here. But here's the back of the bag. Yes, we're starting with the back of the bag. So in looking at the back side of the bag, I can see a few things. And just for a second, Kendall, if I'm curious what stands out to you. And now, of course, you're very familiar with this, having designed it. But I'm curious now as you look at it, and as in the next day or so, a couple of days, we'll probably see these in your home. If you're ordering GoodFibrations right away, we're at that point in the warehouse. We're stocked and ready to go. So before we jump into what is highlighted on this this packaging, I want to talk about the statement that Kendall made, because it's written on the back of the bag. Less than 5% of Americans meet the recommended daily amount of fiber intake. So less than 5% out of every 100, we're talking 3 or 4 people. And in fact, it's not that we just miss it. We're not even close. We're not even in the stadium. If fiber is a big event, a big concert, we're out in the parking lot. No, we're not in the parking lot. We're probably somewhere.
Still at home.
We might be still at home, or just barely, in our front yard, because we're not even close. And the statistics show, in fact, it's listed on the bag, we're like 70% short. The shortfall is that severe. And I know I'm probably sounding a little bit, I don't know, hyper about it, a little bit maybe over anxious, but there's a reason I feel this way. Listening for many years now, more than 30 years, different people talk about fiber, listening to scientists like Dr. Allison teach about it, and also learning and using it myself, I can say fiber is one of the most inexpensive and easy solutions to a vast array of health imbalances and health challenges. It is so easy to do, to bring fiber into our lives, and it touches virtually everything with health. So that's something that we want to talk about today, and it's worth a pretty bag, and it's worth a very amazing higher end blend of fibers, because we don't just want to stuff fiber in us. I mean, in fact, that can be one of the mistakes, and I think it's one of the reasons nobody likes fiber. Number one, we like to eat everything processed, and when we process it, we don't process it with fiber. That's just a fact. We go for the convenience, but then when we are taking fiber, the selections are so, for lack of a better word, they're just kind of nasty. They don't taste good, and often they're quite overbalanced to one extent or another. In fact, just today, we were here in the office. Kendall was having some fun. He brought one of the number one listed fibers that you would ever see in the retail arena. We're not going to mention their name, and mixed it all up and let it sit for, a half hour or more than that. Yeah. When you look at it, it is a glass of gelatin. It literally it is a very narrow type of fiber that is not very fibrous at all. And it turns out that having some of the fibrous content in there is actually crucial to fiber, and we'll highlight that tonight in GoodFibrations. So anyway, having said that, fiber, we're not even close to doing what we need to do with fiber, and that's why we have it at Solle. And second, fiber is all over the board in terms of the offerings, and is very, very limited and often very distasteful to people. That's a problem. We want to address that here at Solle. But fiber also, on the positive side, fiber is a powerful, inexpensive, and easy solution to so much that we deal with in health. In reality, if we were to list the top 3 or 4 health concerns in the United States, to not say in the world, all 3 of them have ample data showing that fiber changes the game. Yeah, just fiber. So that's why we have this. That's why we want to talk about it. So off that little rant, Kendall, as we look at the back of the bag here that you've created, and very well so, I will add, what jumps out to you first? Or what are some things that you really...
Well, I mean, graphically, of course, my eye's drawn to the Clarify icon there. This product is in our Clarify line, and so I know that it's clarifying, fits into that.
Okay, so sorry to jump in.
No.
So when we say Clarify at Solle, we mean that not only does it cleanse or clear out, remove, detox, but clarifying also reestablishes the connections and the flow of the body. So like every kind of thing that needs to move or communicate in the body. So think of our nervous system and those nerve cells that need to communicate, really all of cellular communication. Cells have to communicate because they have innate intelligence. And together they form organs and things that do particular jobs that are quite amazing if they're functioning right, if they're in balance, if they can communicate, and if they can complete the processes, these natural processes. Well, for that to happen, we've got to have a clean system inside out, and we've got to have blockages, things that impede flow and energy and movement. We've got to have them removed. Right back to fiber as one of the simplest solutions that gets right in the middle of that and Clarify. So yeah, I'm glad that you first went to Clarify because first and foremost in the Clarify area, in terms of our daily nutrition and habits, there's fiber. It's right there for us. What else, Kendall?
Well, I can see over on the supplement facts that there is a lot of ingredients in this thing. You're talking about this diversity of fibers, how important that is for a fiber to be effective. And look at that. There's a whole list of things.
Yeah.
The one we looked at earlier had literally one fiber in it.
Yeah.
And
honestly, it just looked like I opened up some pectin, and it was a glob of pectin. It was kind of jello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to drink that immediately.
And not that doesn't do some good, but there's so much more that we can get from fiber. Yeah, absolutely. And this is, in fact, in just a second, let's talk some more about what these various fibers are and why we have so many in there. Yeah. Okay, so a diversity of ingredients jumps out at you. What else?
Well, and it says, I don't know if people saw that some people noticed that it says, don't poo-poo fiber. I think that's kind of fun.
I'd like to see you try. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry about that. It does go down quickly if we start to go to the potty humor. But anyway, let's keep going.
I mean, we did right there on the back. But because people, it can be not very good. It can be nasty tasting and whatever. And I feel like GoodFibrations is quite tasty.
Yeah, and that is an excellent point. It is true. Unfortunately, there's this overwhelming reputation of fiber as being just torture to bring into your diet. And that was one of the key components. And again, big thanks to Dr. Allison. This unique blend, which contains ginger and pear and some wonderful fruit fibers, to name a few of the ingredients, it is very, very simply the best tasting fiber by far, especially of any of the therapeutic fibers that we've ever come across. We were so excited to launch it, seeing this formula and tasting it for the first time a few years ago. Yeah. Okay. I noticed, Kendall, I noticed those three icons: detoxifying, soothing, and cholesterol. And we're going to come back to those because they're a little bit more detail into that Clarify purpose of GoodFibrations and some very, very simple benefits. Fibers help us detoxify. They just do. If we get a lot of water, we got to get plenty of water, and we have fiber. And Dr. Allison will point out we have a healthy functioning liver because bile produced by the liver is part of detoxing. When bile combines with fiber and water, guess what? We remove stuff. We remove what needs to be removed. And there are a lot of things, chemicals, artificial ingredients, things that are part of our diet, both food and drink, that we really don't want to stay in us. Again, here we are, this simple, inexpensive answer, fiber. And then soothing, because of the diversity of fibers, lots of different soothers in there, because honestly, part of the story is how much we beat up our whole digestive system. by diet, high acid sodas and sugars and things that other substances that will compromise the membranes and the protective membranes throughout our digestive system. Soothing fibers actually help us rebuild. They help us rebuild probiotics. They basically help us restore a healthy gut. So, and then the last one, cholesterol. Again, the area in the discussion of fats and what fats do when we have the wrong kind of fats and maybe frequently and too much of them. Fiber is this simple, powerful, inexpensive solution to keeping those in check. So I do love the icons. Now I have to point out one last thing, Kendall, because this was the thing when I looked at the back. The QR code there. Yeah. You put a QR code on this one. Do you want to tell us about that?
In fact, if you take that bag and you get your phone, you scan that, baby.
Here, I'll hold the phone. Oh, you got it?
I got it. I don't know that I need to scan it because we're going to look at it. But it goes to our new
web page.
Our new gut health page. And here it is. Which talks a little bit, not excessively, but a little bit about gut health and why that's important. And then it gives some suggestions on some products that would be good to take for various gut health.
Ooh, all those are good ones.
They are good ones, right? Man, we've got a lot. I was noticing that.
Yeah, I would say, Kendall, wherever you are in your soul journey, please don't go too long in your soul journey without veering over to the gut health page. It's so central to everything.
Yeah. And then also we have some blog posts on some various ideas with gut health, and it's kind of a fun little page to learn a little bit about gut health.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So all that from the bag. So on the back of the bag, we've got some more information, some more education, and a little help in pointing us to things that we can add to this fiber, things that pair well with it. Okay, so let's jump into the ingredients, and before we jump too far, let me see here. Okay, we mentioned these 3 icons, and I will just say there are more functions that we get. That are more therapies that come out of this. But I love those 3. Those are real big ones. They're sort of at the core of what fiber brings us. But notice at the bottom of the slide, GoodFibrations. It says right underneath it, harmonizing fibers. I don't know if any of you listening tonight, and you can chat in here, what does harmonizing fibers mean to you? Why do we say harmonizing fibers? Because I realize that's not your typical subtitle for a fiber product, harmony and harmonizing. So if you want to chat that in, why do you think GoodFibrations are harmonizing? In what way are they harmonizing fibers? Okay. Debbie says, do they sing to your gut? Okay. Well, yes, they do, Debbie. To answer your question, they do. Yes, they're like beautiful music to your gut. They all come together for the same purpose, says Minnie Cortez. I like that. Okay. Well, I think to illustrate it a little bit, I've kind of twisted Kendall's arm. He's going to sing. Debbie, you brought up singing. Kendall's going to sing for you. So we're going to try to do a little illustration. We didn't practice this, so, bear that in mind. But Kendall, can you pick a note and just ooh the note. Not too high, not too low, but sing, but pretty loud, okay? And I'm going to try to harmonize to Kendall's note. Ooh. Don't change your note.
I'm running out of breath.
Okay, go again. It's okay. Oh, pretty close. Okay. I got a little dicey on the top there.
Nice.
Okay, but harmony is more than one. Harmony doesn't happen if there's one. You have to have more than one, and we just did harmony to a note, and we can do different kinds of harmony. There can be I picked the first one I pick is considered a third in music, right? Or I can take a fourth, 4 notes up from it, or 5 notes up. And when I harmonize with a different note, it makes us feel different. You can pick harmonies that are kind of spooky and minor, and then other harmonies that are just happy. They give you different emotions and feelings. Okay, just apply that a little bit. I know it's a little bit of a stretch here to fiber. Harmonies are ways in which fibers work together to do different things and bring different results in the gut. So let's talk about that. Yeah, we missed a mezzo soprano, Debbie. We missed it from. Okay, let's talk about it starting with the psyllium, because there are 3 different kinds of psyllium here. Now, I grew up with a really good fiber supplement. In my first 20 years, it was 1 kind of psyllium. Why did we use 3 here? Well, we use a large, what's called a large mesh size husk, which is the insoluble part of psyllium, considered by many today, after all these years, still the gold standard in fiber supplements or insoluble fiber. And then there's a smaller psyllium whole mesh size, which is a much different shape. Why do we have a larger one and a smaller one? Because if you look inside our colon and our digestive tract, there are lots of twists and turns and folds and nooks and crannies. And what happens because we don't have fiber is things, they get stuck there, they accumulate there, and they do not get cleaned without this variety, without this harmony of fibers, husk and whole, and then again, the seed. So we have 3 kinds of psyllium. Why the seed? Well, the seed is the soluble, soft, soothing part of the psyllium, and also very, very important. All of these together do what the slide says. They form bulk. We need bulk. Bulk in itself helps us clear out debris and move things out, but it also stimulates nerves and body functions that are designed on a regular basis to keep us moving. We always joke about, I do anyway, the trains. A meal is like a train. And when a train comes into the station, a train should leave the station. If that doesn't happen, you have traffic. You don't want traffic. And psyllium helps us not have traffic. Gives us a feeling of fullness, promotes regularity. Yeah, it's actually really great for healthy eating habits and even weight loss, because you put something in there that's needed by the body that helps you in a number of different ways in digestive health. And we also don't tend to want to eat quite as much, and we don't need to eat quite as much. Also helps us manage fats like cholesterol, as you can see on this slide. So psyllium, it starts with psyllium, okay? But we need more harmonies. I mean, it's just Kendall and I, so you only had 1 little harmony, but if we had more people here, it's even prettier. Well, okay. It would have been with more people. If Debbie would have been here singing and a few other people, we could have added several other notes. Well, this next group of fiber are the additional notes. Look at these fruits: apple, blueberry, cranberry, black raspberry. Not only do they have their unique blend of beneficial fiber, but they're packed with antioxidants, differing complementary plant compounds that are nourishers to both body and mind. Remember, Dr. Allison likes to remind us that the messages that the body sends, our nervous system, going from the gut to the brain are much more numerous than the messages coming brain down. That's how much communication is going on. And the right environment is key to that. So these complementary fibers play a key role. They're all a little different. And notice these dark, rich colors are full of anthocyanins and other beneficial nutrients that make a difference, not just in digestion, but also other things like the body's rebuilding and regenerative processes, for instance, like in the formation of collagen. Slippery elm, we singled it out from these fruit fibers also because it's highly nutritious, but also it's a mucilage. When you add water to it, it becomes very slick. That slickness is soothing and restorative to our intestine. So it by itself, we could just eat psyllium by itself and get lots and lots of benefit, but we want it all, right? We don't just want 2 notes. We want the whole corn.
Yeah.
And sorry, Kendall, were you going to add something on
Nope,
psyllium?
nope.
And here's the next one, marshmallow root, another mucilage. Same thing. Soothe, protect the gut. The gut needs to be just so, right? The mucus has to be such that it allows in nutrients and what needs to be absorbed, but keeps out what we don't want absorbed from the intestine, what we want to stay there and to board the next train out, to take that train analogy. Marshmallow root is also wonderful for the lungs. It's an anti-inflammatory and helps in wound healing. So very, very complete. Now, a lot of people don't include pear in the group. We didn't mention it with the other fruits because pear was a late addition in the formula. I do remember when Dr. Allison said, hey, we need pear in this, and let me tell you why. Pear, by the way, in at least some reports, is the most hypoallergenic fruit of all the fruits. So that's a matter of opinion, but you have a lot of nutritionists and scientists that will say it is the most universal. It's very, very rare to have people have a problem with pear. And it's a great source of fiber, as we can see, great source of a number of vitamins and minerals, as you can see there. And we have it in two forms. A little fun fact, in GoodFibrations, there is some concentrated pear juice for pear flavor, and then there's also just the full pear fruit powder so that we can get everything we see here in the slide. Now we get to the adaptogen. Can't have a formula without an adaptogen, and nothing seemed more appropriate in this formula than holy basil. Sometimes people refer to it as tulsi. In some of its lore, it's known as an herb in Ayurveda that nourishes our growth to perfect health and promotes long life. It is a building herb, I like to say. With the more you have a habit of taking it, the more you see. Some herbalists will use it with cases of what they call stagnant depression, where you're just not able to move on from a major trauma or major issues in life. I will say this on a more laboratory side, holy basil is a great friend to our liver. We talked about the importance of our liver in what fiber does for us in detoxing, and also just in calming, being a calmer to the nervous system. You know, a lot of times when we want the trains to come out of the station and we can't get the trains to go, maybe the engineer didn't show up, I don't know. Yeah. Train's stuck there. Stress and agitation and anxiety, they tend to shut down the train station. Yeah. And holy basil is all about, along with other adaptogenic herbs, providing that kind of environment so that factor is not the reason that we don't have good traffic flow. Yeah. So those are a couple of my thoughts on the holy basil. Now, this one always surprises people, raspberry seed. Well, it shouldn't be too surprising. We've got it in a few products where we have some fiber. We have omegas. These seeds, both red and black raspberry, are about bringing inflammation down. They do it through high essential fatty acids, particularly omega-3s. They play a role in our body's natural productions of collagens. And so collagen, as we've talked about before, takes many forms. There are so many different kinds. And here's a little nod to that in GoodFibrations. So yes, it's not just any old fiber. It's actually working on some other things while you take your fibers as well, the raspberry seed. And I'll just mention here, we didn't say it on the slide, but we actually have raspberry leaf in here as well. The red raspberry, which has seed along with the black, we have red raspberry leaf, which historically is one of the most popular and well-known actually calming teas, but in particular for female issues, both monthly issues and even with reproduction and pregnancy, etc. It's been a very popular tea over the years for women to drink. And then when you study raspberry leaf, well, you find out it's an astringent. It's something that tones. So this is benefit in our intestine and digestive tract anyway. Tissue like muscles that are toned and fit, they contract when they should, they move as they should, they hold their place. All sorts of benefits that we want for good digestion and gut health. this raspberry leaf does. And in fact, I know because my wife Donna, she actually took this. This is well before Solle. We were aware of raspberry leaf with a number of our pregnancies because historically, anyway, women would drink this raspberry leaf tea to help as after birth, to help the uterus and everything kind of tone back and move back into position and be restored to its normal state. And so that's another little bonus in GoodFibrations, by the way. And men, that's just as we need the same kind of toning. It's not just useful for women.
And it's packed full of minerals, magnesium and calcium and.
Right. Kendall, thanks for bringing that up. Interesting. I was reading a book by a doctor that we know who wrote a whole book on the vitamin and mineral contents of various herbs. And raspberry leaf is very, very high in calcium, magnesium, iron, believe it or not, several other key minerals, niacin, and vitamins. It's actually very high in niacin. And I think I was mentioning magnesium earlier. It's very, very high in magnesium, but even higher in manganese, which is, again, some of these things we mentioned with female health. Manganese plays a key role, also in brain health. So, in fact, in this whole book he wrote, which was over 100 different herbs, the raspberry leaf was the highest plant content of manganese of any of them that he studied in the lab. So,
wow.
So there's something unique here to go with your GoodFibrations. You got a good source of manganese there. Now there's also ginger root. Why ginger? Oh, another one of the inspirational additions by Dr. Allison in this formula. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's the perfect pairing with fiber because it stimulates an improved digestion, and yet it also eases nausea and some of the side effects when we're working through problems in our gut. Ginger helps us work through them while not suppressing those functions. And so many things we take in digestion, they just suppress something because we're suffering in some way, like an antacid or different things like that. Ginger is helping to move the body forward in solving it because of what it contains, things like gingerol and other things, but also is a calmer in the moment and is definitely a benefit.
And it tastes good.
And actually, it tastes amazing with pear.
Yeah.
That's why we've got the ginger pear in GoodFibrations. And then I think this might be our last one, lime, another wonderful addition. Again, thanks Dr. Allison on all these. Here we are back to the calcium story. Citric acid, which, by the way, high in the raspberries that are contained in this formula. And I actually had forgotten that. A natural citric acid is among the natural inhibitors for kidney stones, so good for kidney health, and has compounds in it that help our body manage fats. Well, will fibers themselves do that? Let me see if okay, that's it. So, I'm sorry, Kendall, for flipping that one more. So let me just say by way of conclusion that the harmonies are all these various benefits that are connected, they're interconnected into gut health, and a good fiber product, to us, it did not make sense to make someone have to figure all that out and to go search all those things out and take 5 or 6 things. Like as with so many products, GoodFibrations is like going down and buying 6 or 7 things that are wonderful for gut health, but it's all in one fiber product so that you can just take one thing. And I will say too, again, I know I've probably mentioned this a few too many times today already, but thinking of the most major health challenges we face, I think of things like anything to do with heart problems, anything to do with blood sugar. I think of right now, the rapidly increasing emotional health and anxiousness that people feel that are just 10 times higher than they were even just a few short years ago in terms of the numbers of people reporting it of all ages. And so I think of all the big health issues, and I think, how is fiber involved? It's directly involved in the mitigation of all. Sugars don't spike up and down as much if fiber's always part of the eating. Fats don't, especially the bad fats we eat too much of, they get absorbed and they catch a train out instead of all staying inside. So many of the things that we talk about, carbs and even carbs themselves, which to me part of the same story of sugars, they're dealt with much better when there's a lot of fiber. So fiber is a simple answer, and it does play a role in anything we might be working on in our health.
Yeah, and it helps our bodies assimilate the nutrition better than
Exactly. It's not a situation either where we're saying, well, I'm going to absorb better or I'm going to do fiber. Actually, the right kinds of fiber, harmonic fibers, like GoodFibrations, actually will improve our body's digestibility, and we're going to absorb better as well.
Yeah.
An example of that is your probiotics. Yeah. They thrive with a high fiber diet, and when you have a thriving microbiome, they create enzymes, they create vitamins, they create antibacterial things that actually defend immune system. And so when they're thriving with fiber part of the diet, everything happens better in the digestion.
Yeah, love it. Thank you, Greg. Learned a lot today.
My pleasure.
Very excited to but get some more GoodFibrations in me.
We'll try some out of that bag.
Yeah, out of this bag. It probably tastes different, right?
It'll taste even more special.
Thank you, Greg. So now is my favorite part of the show, where we talk to somebody who's had an experience with our product, GoodFibrations. Today we're going to Chris Norman in California. Chris.
How we doing?
Good. How are you? Man, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Chris is my good friend. We've traveled places together, drove across Costa Rica one day. Chris is a great friend, and he's had a good experience with GoodFibrations, and we'd love to hear you tell your story, Chris.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're a good friend as well. So a long time ago, back before I met Rebecca Norman, I used to drink a ton of like milk magnesia and that magnesium citrate stuff. I used to have it in my cabinets because I was like a super active guy, but whenever I would eat, I would just feel full and I couldn't poop. So not being able to poop obviously makes you feel real heavy, lethargic, and you just don't feel like you want to do anything. So I used to just go chug a huge bottle of milk of magnesia, and I'd time it and I'd let loose. And then after I'd let loose, I'd be money. I could go and do whatever I needed, but I couldn't like live without that stuff. So then Rebecca introduced me to this, GoodFibration stuff. And it was so weird. When I started taking it, it was like I was addicted to it. Like I would eat it. I would scoop it out and I would eat it. Something in my body was like telling me I had to have this stuff. Like I couldn't get enough of it. So that means I had to drink a lot of water because Rebecca was like, hey, if you don't drink the water, you're going to be, in bad shape. So I would be chugging a lot of water and eating this stuff on the spoonfuls. And then all of a sudden I didn't need that other stuff anymore at all. So now my night regimen, I used to take it twice a day. I used to take it in the morning and I used to take it at night. But now it's, after time, I just take it at night. But I also take it with your guys' Fast Track. I take it with your probiotic. I take it with your Soul Clear. I take it with Amnitox and the Megas, all that clarifying blend. And as I added those things in, I felt like I didn't need it twice a day. So like Greg was speaking about with the Harmony. So I guess maybe the Harmony helped out. But as soon as I added this stuff into my my nightly routine, or my daily routine, a lot of stuff changed. I haven't bought that. I mean, it was sick. I'd go to Walmart and just like take 20 of those bottles and I'd put them in my cabinet for, an everyday use. And I couldn't have been very healthy at all. So bringing this into my life really, really, really helped. And it actually made a huge change because obviously I don't have to do that anymore. And it tastes good. Obviously like any fiber, you got to hurry up and get it down. You don't want it to start, formulating, but then I'll mix it with like the Vital and I'll mix everything. I'll put the Vital, the Mate, I put it all in there and then I just take my herbs with it. But it's definitely a game changer. If I don't have the smooth move or the the fast track. If I don't have the fast track and the GoodFibrations, like we have to go call our sister Rachel and get like a borrowed supply because I'd be up the creek without a paddle. So, but yeah, I mean, this stuff's just been a game changer for me, and I don't see myself not using it forever because it works that well. Yeah, that's how it's taking care of me, and I'm going to continue to use it. And it's, it does a ton of other things too, I'm sure. But the one thing I tried, I was using it for, sure knocked it out of the park. So down to one wipers, that's me now. So yeah, good stuff.
I love it. Love it. I'm so glad that you've had some success with it. Thanks for sharing with us tonight. Chris, we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right. See you soon.
All right. Wow. I love it. Love it. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks, Greg, for sharing your time, and Chris for sharing your story with us. Our next show is going to be on September 26th. September 26th. And it's going to be on Soul Clarify, if you believe me. I've lied to you before. But Jennifer will come and speak to us about that. It'll be a great show. I'm excited for that. So thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to see y'all. And we'll see you next time on Why Soul Works.